Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to a very exciting episode of CSGO News. As always, let's get right into it. And first off today, guys, in huge CSGO News, we have ESports Observer, a company and website who's been heavily investigating into ESforce. If you guys remember ESforce, the parent company of both Virtus Pro and parts of Na'Vi and their media side of that organization, has now also been further revealed to also have a large stake of ownership in SK Gaming in that organization. Now, if you guys remember SK Gaming's managing director, Alex Mueller, I'm sure a lot of you guys remember that from the alleged poaching scandal for the old LG roster, which actually went through, apparently was not a poaching scandal. That's where you guys recognize his name from. Well, the problem here is he and SK Gaming failed as an organization to actually publicly disclose this information, just as Virtus Pro did. No one ever felt free to come out and say, hey, we got bought out by a company. This company also has ties to other esports organizations and other, betting websites like CSGO Lounge. Everyone is failing to say that, and this is why it's such a big, not so much conspiracy, but a big conflict of interest right now, is because no one publicly disclosed this, and so now everyone's digging deeper into this and finding out that ESforce has ties to so many esports companies. Now, further off, if you guys want to go strictly into the SK Gaming side with Alex Mueller, it makes sense when they made this buyout a long time ago, as many of you guys know, over that poaching scandal where they were buying out the LG roster and that all went through. It makes total sense why ESforce would jump in and SK Gaming would take their offer, because they needed an investor and they needed a company who obviously was going to seek some kind of ownership in return and shareholdings in return for that. But it made sense for such a big roster buyout why they would seek ESforce out and why ESforce would be so willing to invest in them. So the big story here is, as of right now, guys, ESforce not only has ties to Virtus Pro, Na'Vi, CSGO Lounge, now SK Gaming, but so far websites and companies like Esports Observer are slowly unraveling how many companies are actually tied together in all of this, which creates a huge conflict of interest. As of right now, there is no foul play, nothing wrong, just a simple company trying to branch out in a very well expanding industry. So as of right now, nothing wrong, but definitely curious. And in further CSGO news, guys, Valve also came out just 2 days ago to further explain their coaching rule updates. Summing it up for all of you guys, instead of reading off this entire Valve article, Valve's main points here and reasoning for changing the coaching rules was it was beginning to stray away from their original vision for the game, and that is mainly at minors here, but also at majors. Valve wanted any new team to be able to come into the scene and compete with all these well-established rosters, and many of those well-established rosters who had money were beginning to invest a lot more time, effort, and that money into the coaching role, to the point where Valve thought it was highly unfair for those new teams, which is a very understandable and very, admirable argument for Valve to make. But apart from that, my only argument with Valve is their lack of warning to these more well-established rosters who already had coaches when it came to this update. Imagine you have this well-established coach and all of a sudden Valve sends you an email and it says, hey, by the way, your new coach, he's absolutely worthless. I mean, what do these teams do? You have to give these teams at least some kind of decent warning, because it's really unfair, especially, whether it be a new coach. You hire a guy for 3 days, all of a sudden you're sitting down with him and saying, by the way, we don't really need you anymore. Or what if you have Coach Bill, who's been with the team for 5 years, and all of a sudden, well, hey, Bill, you're not really worth anything. What are these teams supposed to do? I feel really bad, especially for those more well-established rosters who have had coaches for even a longer amount of time. What do they do with these guys? You can't make every single old coach into maybe a newborn player or an analyst or a streamer. They can't all do that. Some of these guys can only specifically coach. That's all they're known for. So I really feel for those teams, and I thought Valve could have gone about that a much better way. Now, also, Valve ended this article by saying any third-party organizers or hosts for tournaments, whether that be Faceit or Starlight or any other host as well, they can go their own way. They can, not follow these rules. You can still have coaches at their events if they choose to do that. But if they want to line their events up with Valve, I'm sure there's some kind of benefit to aligning your rules with Valve's rules. There must be some sort of promotion or whatever it may be. If you guys want to do that, you have to also abide by our rules, which makes perfect sense. So either way, I want you guys to actually tell me who's right here, the players or Valve. I have a feeling your guys' answer is probably not going to be Valve. And we also had a new CSGO update come out 2 days ago. This one brought a couple new features, including new updated weapon sounds. This was for the CT-sided pistols, that being the Glock, P2000 USP, and Deagle, as well as a brand new case, which was a little surprise. The Gamma 2 case came out. It already crashed a lot in price. Really seeing this a lot now in the future, the trend where if these new cases come out, people are showing a lot less interest. I know when I first started playing CSGO, these cases when they first came out were probably $50+. Now it seems in a couple hours they're always down to around $3 or $4. Pretty crazy to see that trend go, especially with all these CSGO gambling and betting lawsuits happening. It seems like everything is crashing as of right now. But also I wanted to focus on, once again, the AK got another very interesting skin here. It's adding to many really cool rifle skins, mainly rifle skins for M4A1S, the M4A4, and the AK, all insanely cool skins, but unfortunately all the other skins I wasn't too impressed by. But what else can you expect when Valve enters a new case? Really, it's like one good skin and the rest are just, what? Whoa! Stop. Whoa. And also occurring 2 days ago, we had the HP Omen challenge on Twitch between Mousesports and Flipside Tactics, where the viewers got to decide the tortures that each team would undergo every 90 seconds of the matches. Now, ranging from electrical chair shocks to sonic booms they'd hear in their own headsets, everything that we could actually do to distract the player was a possibility, and it did end up being Flipside Tactics who swept Mousesports 2-0 in this MR12 style match play. Now, usually when you play, it's MR15. This is known as MR12, meaning that each match only went up to 13 rounds to win the game instead of your usual 16, and players also started out with a max 15k cash on round 1 instead of the typical 800. So it's not really a build-up. You start out full force, and that way the game really gets into it right away. Now, to be quite honest with all of you guys, the torture matches were very hyped up. To keep it short, I want to say the event itself started very late. I know it started at least an hour late. These casters, I do feel bad for them. A lot of hate from the community came back to these casters. Now, I want to say that yes, the whole time I was watching this stream, it felt like we were being promoted to and advertised to the entire time about the HP. It was a little over the top. You know, every time we talked about something else between the game, it went right back to computer. Hey, follow HP on Twitter. Hey, go check out the computer. Oh, this computer is amazing. A lot of stuff that was obviously fluffed up and probably fed into these casters' ear, which I do feel bad for. You guys have to understand, when these guys are casting, it's not all them. They got people talking to them, telling them what to say as well. HP hired these guys, so obviously they're being paid to also tell you guys about the product. So I do feel bad, although it was a little bit over the top when it came to advertising the product. I still feel bad for these casters. They were kind of put in an awkward situation because the production quality was equally bad as well. So it was very hard for these guys. Not only did it start late, the effects were also kind of lame. The tortures could have been put on in a much better way. So hopefully sometime soon in the future, guys, someone else does bring back the HP Omen challenge. Maybe not call it that, but at least bring back torture matches and put it on in a much better way. It's still an amazing idea. HP did a pretty decent job doing it, but it could be done much better. So hopefully in the future it will be. And very last in today's CSGO news, guys, is something I will be covering a lot more in the future and very excited about myself personally, and that's the upcoming Chinese CSGO scene, as the official CSGO page for that Chinese region has actually just launched a couple days ago. For those of you who don't know, the esports company by the name of Perfect World has signed a deal previously a couple weeks ago actually with Valve, allowing them to be the sole owner of production rights for CSGO in China. We still have yet to wait and see what that title empowers them to do. It sounds like a pretty powerful title for them to actually hold, so good for them. I wonder how much they paid Valve for that position, and now it really is, we have to wait and see. For sure though, this is just the beginning of the Chinese CSGO scene. A lot more to come soon, and I have a big story coming soon about Perfect World and their agreement with Valve. I feel like setting up for the outro. As always, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of CSGO News. Today will be another double upload. If I fail this double upload, I am so sorry. I'm supposed to be hanging out with friends today, so let's see what happens. As always, hope you guys all enjoyed. I really love making all these CSGO News episodes, especially this last week. Your guys' support has been absolutely amazing, so thank you guys all for watching. As always, remember, I like you. I'll see you guys all next time. Shout out to SK Gaming. Yes, we're owned by ESforce. I'll see y'all next time. Remember, I like you. Goodbye.